I'd like to tell you a story. It's Christmas, a time to gather round with those we love to celebrate a year gone by, the good and the bad, and the year to come. But there are some who will not be able to do that. Some who will have an empty chair at the dinner table. Because 3 years and 2 months ago, a person was taken away from us. A woman, a wife, a mother, a sister, a journalist. 3 years and 2 months ago, a journalist was silenced. 3 years and 2 months ago, people of goodwill said, enough is enough, and took to the streets. People of all ages protested along Republic Street, the Sliema Promenade, and here, at the Great Siege Monument, in front of the law courts, in front of the symbols of faith, valor, and civilization, here, where children gathered to hear a story. The story of a queen who told stories, not fanciful imaginary stories, but stories that told truth. Her stories were fantastical and somber and frightening and funny, and people gathered from far and wide. They gathered to hear the Queen's stories, and she enthralled them. She made them laugh until their sides ached, and she made them cry until they had tears streaming down their faces. However, some days the Queen's stories would be dark and frightening, and that would scare and upset people. Give us something to laugh about, they would say. And as time passed, the stories became darker and more frightening. And some people got very angry at the Queen's stories. Some people were frightened. They were frightened that her stories may cause others to revolt or to have ideas above their stations. And they were frightened because they felt that these stories were becoming a threat. They were afraid that her stories would stop them from doing all the bad things they were doing. And so, because they were afraid, they decided they needed to stop her. Meshi, move, do it, said the bad people. And late one night, they did it. They quietly crept into the Queen's home and they stole her away and hid her forever. And the next morning, the people woke up distraught. Where's our Queen of Stories? They cried. We want our stories. We need our stories. And they searched high and low and here and there, but their Queen was nowhere to be found. The situation looked bleak. But then a few of them held hands and banded together and in unison cried, we know what to do. We know the Queen's stories off by heart. We'll keep telling each other all her stories. And so they did. And the few became more, and the more became many. Every day they'd gather round and tell the Queen's stories and make each other laugh and cry until tears streamed down their cheeks. And soon, the people who stole the Queen away became frightened once more. The ending of this story has yet to be written. What will it be? Will it explain how those people who stole the Queen away turned on each other, left to go find a job abroad, lied, swore ignorance, tried to bully those who spoke out? 3 years and 2 months ago, a group of women stood outside Castile and roared, enough is enough. Eventually, they were joined by thousands on thousands of people. 2 years and 2 months ago, we were fighting an establishment hell-bent on silencing us, on removing this protest from the Great Siege Monument. As Malta ended its time as the so-called European capital of culture, they tried to cynically drown us out with Christmas carols, but we carried on, and on, and on. Then, 1 year ago, a minister was made to resign, a chief of staff was made to resign, a deputy leader was made to resign, and finally a prime minister was made to resign. And in the words of another loser, Donald Trump, you're all fired. But we are still here, still roaring, and we will remain here in front of this monument, inspired by the same fortitude that inspired our people in the past, and the same qualities of valor and civilization that made Daphne Caruana Galizia the journalist, woman, and Maltese hero that she is. We may not all be physically here today, but make no mistake, we are still roaring. So, dear Prime Minister, ministers, ex-minister, and forgetful, spineless, doddering MPs, remember this. We are still watching you, and we will continue to do so till we see that justice is done. It's Christmas, and once again this year, there will be an empty chair at a family's table. This Christmas, Daphne should have been sitting around her Christmas tree in the loving company of her amazing parents, her strong sisters, her wise nieces, her resilient husband, her formidable sons, and her baby grandchildren. Her grandchildren who she never met and will never meet. Greed and cowardice have robbed Daphne of the rest of her Christmases. Greed and cowardice have robbed her family of the right to ever hug her again. Greed and cowardice have condemned a family to forever have an empty chair at their Christmas table. Let's fill that empty chair with love, gratitude, and respect. Join us this Christmas in honoring Daphne and giving a donation in her name to Dar Merhaba Bik, her favorite charity, or to the Daphne Caruana Galizia Foundation to help fight for truth and justice. Because this is our nation, this is our home, and we are the people. We expect better, we deserve better, and we demand better. Thank you.